Morning, everybody. Coming off the last couple of days, been really pleased with the preparation. Yesterday was a good day. There was a few things, there was I would say some sloppy mistakes, and it wasn't anything. I thought it was good intent, but just a few times the ball got to the ground. You just need a little bit better focus in situational football yesterday. So really kind of came and challenged the guys today. That I want to see. I want to see the to crank up the intent. Today was championship day, had everything in front of us to go and be the best we could be. Got third down situations. Got a little bit of red zone work. Just continuing to come together and with our efficiency and obviously all things preparing for Saturday. But I thought it was a great response day for us. And when you could take that, I didn't think Tuesday was a bad day, but there was definitely big opportunity for growth, and I thought the guys responded well. Competitive, fast, and so I'm pleased with what I'm seeing. From in that regards, we got, Squirrel was able to get back out today. You'll get some work in. LaWayne continuing to push forward. Definitely hopeful. I'm expecting LaWayne to be ready to play here on Saturday. We'll see with Squirrel as it continues on throughout this week. But I mean, it was a good step for him today. And just in regards to that. So, we got a couple important days in front of us as we go with our prep, and excited for Saturday.
Sorry, Chris. Is Kevin Wynn closing in on making his season debut?
Yeah, he's close. I mean, let me say closer. And so, we're hopeful that here even in these next couple of days we'll be able to see the continued progress. Not anticipating him for Saturday, but looking at next week could get into the conversation of it. So we'll see how it kind of goes.
Liam, with LaWayne, just how have you seen him kind of be patient? I know every guy wants to get back out on the field. You talked about waiting their time, but how good was it to see him out there?
Yeah, no, I mean, and he had, yesterday, he practiced yesterday, had a big touchdown yesterday. Being able to get the ball down the field, and that's where LaWayne is. He really is such a versatile receiver, and there's not. Sometimes guys get categorized into positions and what they do, and LaWayne's got a great skill set where he can really play any of the receiver spots. So he'll be available. He's still got to work himself back into full game shape. I mean, just being real in it. So I mean, he'll probably have a kind of a pitch count, but like I said, it's good seeing even in his time of not being able to participate in practice. You could see the mental focus that he had. He's been pretty clean on his assignments. The details of what he's being asked to do, and we're gonna continue to push that. And I will say that's probably the reason that he's back right now is that he hasn't been patient. He's been working to get back, and you can control what you can control. He couldn't control practice, but he could control his rehab, and he's been busting his butt doing that. And so, I'm proud of him, and excited to see him get out there and play.
With Squirrel maybe being questionable at punt returner, I noticed Deuce was on the depth chart for this week. Is there a chance that he'll get some live look?
Potential. I mean, Jalen, I think, has had a really good last couple of weeks. I mean, I thought it was good in the last game for him to get out there, have a big return. And there's, like I said, there's been some dynamics in the first couple of weeks that can't control and can't. And obviously there was a mistake in the first game that you take ownership of. Obviously we got a group that I'm very confident in. The second week there wasn't. I wasn't. As disappointed, some of the times the ball got to the ground, when it's less than 30-yard, punts are in that range, and so where the ball's landing. So we got to do a great job as communicating and making sure that, we're fielding every ball that we can, but, having possession of the ball, unfortunately we had a 40-yard return that was called back due to a penalty, but, to have two times where returners got over 20 yards on returns, in our last game, that was a positive step. And, with Jalen, if Squirrel can't go, and even if Squirrel can't, I mean, to be able to see those guys, I think it can be dynamic duo in just how they can manage that. Deuce is also, trained heavily. LaWayne did it last year, so getting him back, there's, I feel very confident in that group.
I don't know if, I can't remember if Coach Sertan and Coach Cooper knew each other at all before, but when you bring in a new coach and they're kind of sharing some
pleased have you been with that position and the way they've worked?
Yeah, they're both great coaches, and they're both great men. I mean, they've worked together, you know, and it really is a team effort. Yes, you know, Pat spends a lot of time with the corners, you know, Coop there with the safeties, but you know, they're because of their backgrounds and their skill set. I mean, they can literally take half the field if they need to work certain things. We got Greg Moss, who's our assistant DB coach, that is phenomenal. Has been here, you know, for multiple years. And I mean, when you see that you know trio of coaches being able to work together, and you know, there's not, you know, they're not setting up these boundaries of things. I mean, they're coaching that position, they're coaching that group, and you know, they're really. I'm pleased with how they work together, and you know, just the way guys respond to them.
Peter? Coach, we spoke to Richie yesterday, and we were just asking him about his contribution off the field with his service and everything, and he was traveling to Argentina. Just him just being representing himself and the program. Like, what did he say about the program? How he just
No,
been representing?
yeah, I mean, it's you know, leadership. You know, I tell people, you know, because I get asked that question, like, what is a leader? What does that look like? I mean, I think it's people that are willing to be the example. You know, and if you're willing to be the example, like, because you know, obviously giving up your time, serving others, you know, being able to care, like Richie is, and since he's been here, like, he is embraced with yes. And I mean, he really, whatever it is that's being asked, you know, there's not many events that I've seen that he's not been a participant in, and to be able to pour into others, you know, just he's got such a great heart, and you know, he cares about the well-being of others. You know, he's got you know, I believe he can play this game for a long time, but whenever this game is finished for him, and he's gonna, I don't know what it's gonna be, but he's gonna be in a service industry, because he is a remarkable person, and you know, I just love his heart. I love his passion, impact, and you know, and that's something that, you know, this week with him getting recognized on the Good Works team, you know, that's, we talk about the pillars of this program, the values of this program. You know, the first is service. You know, we want to be a program that serves. We want everything around this program to be better, because you know, we're willing to give towards that. And you know, and I think that, you know, we've had three of the last 5 years, we've had guys that have been represented on the All-State Good Works team, and that's something that I want that to be an every year tradition and expectation. But you have guys that are willing to be the example. They're willing to say yes, and you know what? That brings others along with them. And so, just very pleased with his contributions in all areas. But you know, he's done. He's a wonderful representative of what it is to be a Florida State Seminole.
We got time for a couple more, Ira.
We were talking to Coach Cooper yesterday about Ashland and just the way he's kind of embraced, you know, just confidence and realizing his potential a little bit. How much have you enjoyed seeing that, and how good a job have the coaches done with it?
No, I mean, I think how great of a job he's done, and the coaches have been supportive in his process. And you know, I give a lot of credit to Ash. I mean, you know, he showed up and he's went to work. I mean, and you know, he's got a very unique story, you know, background. I mean, I remember when we brought him in, you know, there's a lot of unknowns about him, you know, from everybody on the outside. But we saw talent, we saw ability, and now he's grown in his confidence through the work that he's invested. And so, you know, it's still areas for him to take some big steps. But I mean, every play, every day, whether it's, you know, his approach in the meeting room, whether it's approach, you know, walkthroughs, obviously out there on the practice field, I got a lot of respect for him and you know, just his journey.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much.